Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Melissa, but subscribers can call me Missy. We are here today for another sewing mystery video. This mystery starts with a robbery.
It all began on a rainy day when I heard a soft knock on my door. I could hear sobbing through the door, and when I opened it, there was a woman there, hysterical in tears.
Why don't you come in? Let me get you some tea.
After a warm cup of tea and a moment to collect herself, she was ready to talk.
There you go. Well, now, is that better?
All right. Why don't you tell me what the trouble is?
Well, I was getting out of my cab at the corner of 22nd and Bodkin Lane when someone came round the back of the cab. I assumed it was the driver at first, but then I saw her still in the car, went around to see who it was. That's when I saw that the trunk was empty. Someone had taken my luggage.
Did you get a glimpse of the thief?
Well, of course, when I realized I'd been robbed, I looked around to see who did it. I saw a dark figure disappearing around a corner, that's all.
Did you tell the police?
Of course I did. They said they couldn't help me. They said there'd been a lot of these kinds of robberies lately, and unless I had a better description or some sort of clue for them, they couldn't help me. Oh, please say you can help me. My good bed linens and my grandmother's tablecloth were in there.
Odd things to be traveling with.
Well, I have sensitive skin, and so I need to bring my own sheets when I travel, and, well, the thing with my grandmother's tablecloth is I'm like a child with a blanket. I just never leave home without it.
Well, I'm not making any promises, but I'll do my best. So the fabric we're going to be working with are an old linen bed sheet and a lace tablecloth. I hope you enjoy.
I don't know when, but at some point I had thrifted this pattern for a shirt and had never used it before. So I had to go through and cut out the pattern pieces that I wanted to use. This pretty much only included the bodice pieces of the shirt because I wanted to do something different with the sleeves. I'm not trying to reinvent anything for this project, so I pulled out this vintage pattern with some more flowy, loose sleeves. After figuring out what number it would be, it was pretty easy to find. But after looking at the pattern piece, I wasn't sure if it was going to be as loose as I wanted it to be, so I pulled out some of my butcher paper and traced the pattern on it, starting by marking out the top and the bottom of the straight edge pieces and then only tracing to the center. I then moved it over, lined it up, and then traced the other side up to the center, and then I just connected the center parts. And you can see how that ended up widening out my sleeve pattern. From here, all I had to do was connect the straight edges, and then I would be able to cut out my new and improved sleeve pattern piece. I also wanted dramatic cuffs, so I altered some cuff pattern that I had made for another dress.
Now that I have a bunch of pattern pieces cut out and brought together, I can begin making a mock-up before I move on to my nice fabric.
I decided I wanted to crop the shirt, and luckily for me, my pattern already had marked out the natural waistline on the pattern. So I just folded the pattern piece in order to shorten it before cutting it out. The fabric I'm using for my mock-up is an old bedsheet that I got at a thrift store for the very purpose of making mock-ups. I think that the fabric is a cotton polyester blend, but I can't be sure because I no longer have the tag. I do, however, like the color, and in the future I'm going to try and make sure that I get fabric with fiber content that I like for making my mock-ups, because wherever possible I like to make my mock-ups work as finished garments.
Okay, I have the bodice portion of the mock-up sewn together and I really like it. I didn't check the measurements on the pattern, so I'm glad that it fits. I'm gonna finish putting together the sleeves and the collar just to see how it all kind of comes together. It would be a little bit shorter when I do the hem, so I think I would want to cut that a bit longer when I do the final shirt. I got chocolate on my shirt. Oh man. Anyways, my mock-up is at a point where I will be able to try it on and see how it looks. Here it is. I really like it. I think it looks really nice. I'm not so sure about the way that the shoulder comes out. On the one hand, it's giving 1830s. I'm just not sure how I feel about how far out the shoulder goes. Maybe I want it to be just a little bit higher up. I'll have to give that a think. I'm not sure how I like that. I was a little bit worried that this sleeve would be too long, but it's a nice length with the cuff. So the next steps, I've got this white lace tablecloth. It is a crocheted lace. I took a little nip out of the middle. I burn tested it and it smelled and acted kind of like a cotton. But yeah, it's definitely 100% natural fibers. I'm gonna guess that it's cotton. A lovely crocheted lace pattern, and the edges are different than the rest of it, but you can also see that it's very heavily stained. So I figure I can just dye it all black, and then I have this leftover black linen. This is 100% linen. It was a bed sheet that I got at a thrift store. I had made some pants out of these and I have leftover fabric. So that is going to be the body of the shirt. Then I think the lace for the sleeve will be quite lovely when it's dyed black to match the black linen. It's not going to be a perfect match, I'm sure, once it's dyed, but it'll still be black like the linen. Hello. Well, here we are. I was just about to clean my kitchen. I was just about to dye all of this, but I put it in my pot dry, and as you can see, my pot is not big enough. So I think what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to cut off the amount that I need, probably from the more messed up end where this giant freaking stain is, and then I'm going to dye just that fabric. Okay, now my fabric will fit somewhat comfortably within my big old pot here. So I'm going to fill it up enough to cover my lace, and then I will add all of the special ingredients. Let's do it.
So I filled the pot with water, put it on the stove, and started putting my dye packets into the pot, which is, of course, where things went wrong. I was putting the second dye packet in, and you would think that I did it on purpose. Just the way that it happened, it's almost like my hand just decided to stop holding the dye packet. So that was annoying, but I swept it up. But I didn't realize that the dye is such a fine powder. It ended up getting in my nose. Sweeping it up wasn't enough. It was all over my feet, and it was just a mess. So I started my investigation by going to the scene of the crime. There I found a clue. Something that reminded me of someone. Little did I know what dangers were lurking around the corner. I had to skedaddle, but I knew where to look next.
Here we are. I have my lace all dyed black today, and I have my black linen. You can see, or maybe you can't, but maybe you can see that the two colors of black don't match exactly. This is a bit of a cooler black, and this is a bit of a warmer black. So the colors don't match. That was to be expected. It's fine. We're gonna go ahead and get to cutting that.
Actually, I lied about going ahead and getting on cutting. I decided I needed to iron the linen first. It was pretty wrinkly, and I really wanted this to turn out well. I also don't have much of this fabric, and so there's not room for error. Here I used some chalk to lengthen out the ends of the shirt, and then I got around to cutting everything out. At the end of this video, I'm going to show you me styling this linen shirt with the linen pants that I made out of this sheet. It was just the bottom or fitted sheet that I was able to find at the thrift store, and you don't find 100% linen sheets at the thrift store very often. This sheet was in good condition, but like I said, it was only the bottom sheet, or else I might have used it on my bed. After I cut all of this out, I knew that I would need to use some interfacing, and I don't think I had enough of the fusible synthetic interfacing. Additionally, I didn't want to use any synthetics in this other than the thread. So I also cut some lightweight cotton canvas and decided that I would use that for the interfacing on this project. This part I cut on the bias because this is going to be used to bind the lace at the top of the armhole. And because I was nervous about the whole interfacing thing, I decided I needed to watch some Bernadette Banner videos to psych myself up into doing that. And while I mustered up that confidence, I went ahead and sewed together the rest of my mock-up. But ultimately there was no avoiding it, and I had to get around to getting my interfacing ready to sew into place. Since I'm not using a synthetic interfacing, I would have to sew everything into place by hand. After asking around, I found myself at a chop shop where stolen fabric is laundered.
Scrappy, I thought I'd find you here.
Huh. So, I'd heard that you'd made yourself into some sort of big shot detective. And, by the way, it ain't Scrappy no more. It's Scraps now.
Is that the bed sheet and the tablecloths?
Maybe it is, and maybe it isn't. What's it to you?
Scrappy, I need you to... Scraps, you always were a lousy shot.
I have a few things to show you. First of all, I have a teeny tiny thrift haul. I got this little bag, and inside the little bag is a little box of buttons. And I've already gone through some of the buttons, There's some sets in there that go together, which is going to be great. I can hopefully use these. Good thing I have buttons now. Next, in this bag were just a whole bunch of rhinestones. I have no idea what I'm going to use this for. If you have any ideas, drop them in the comments. Maybe I'll use them, maybe I won't. Your ideas, that is. I'll probably use the rhinestones. This next thing that I got is infuriating to me. Why? I don't like being forced to do something, but when I saw these, I had to get them. They're these stupid, cute little cow ornaments. I look at them and I'm simultaneously so angry at how cute these are. I had zero choice. You see? Do you see what I mean? So that's my mini thrift haul. The next thing is this. So I started stitching this down. I started with, you can see here, this stitch. And that was taking forever. So I switched to this one, and this is taking a lot less time. So I'm gonna continue with this one. You can see that it puckers the fabric a little bit. I don't know if that'll stay after I press it. We'll see. I'll try ironing it and see once it's all done. But it's just gonna be on the inside of the shirt anyways. But you can also kind of see that each little stitch just picks up the tiniest bit of my fabric. So I'm gonna finish doing this.
Okay, how to describe this? It's similar to how you would do a running stitch, where you kind of just go in and out of the fabric, except for when I go in and out of the fabric, I'm just picking up the tiniest bit of the black side of the fabric, and I'm just zigzagging where I do that so that it doesn't affect too much the way that the fabric moves. That's my theory behind what I'm doing anyways. I basically just need to make it so that my interfacing stays attached to the black fabric. And as you can see, I also did a running stitch around the edge before I started doing this zigzag thing so that it can just stay in place while I am making sure that it all gets stuck together. It did take a long time to do, but really for the first time, I didn't hate hand stitching something, which was odd for me.
All right, last night I got this sewn together and I ironed down the darts and the seam here. I also got this collar piece put together and I ironed it down as well. You can see that ironing it down did indeed flatten it out, and you really can't even see any of those stitches that were visible yesterday. This collar is ready for me to baste. I still think it's based. To baste down the edges and then connect them to the shirt. I feel very confident that we're gonna be able to finish it. The other day I was able to make it to the store and I picked up some buttons. So these are gonna be for the front of the shirt. And then these smaller versions of the same are gonna be for the cuffs. Oh, I decided that the shoulder was too wide. It came out too far. So I did cut a finger's width off of this. So time to get to work.
Part of my decision to change up the shoulder was that I tried the mock-up on again, and there are things that I really like about it. I think that styled correctly, it can give a really cool vibe. However, I did also notice that as it is, it kind of gives FLDS, which is not what I'm going for. So things needed to happen. Anyways, I finally got around to cutting the lace. I cut the sleeves, and then I cut a piece to go on the cuffs. So anyways, I finally got around to cutting out my lace. I cut the cuff piece out of the edge of the tablecloth and then pinned it to my fabric. And then it was back to the sewing machine. At this point, the process was a lot of pinning and then sewing and then unpinning and then sewing some more, with some ironing thrown in there for good measure. This whole shirt was an idea I'd had in my head for a long time, so I really wanted it to turn out well. To sew the sleeve together, I cut out strips of the linen and then ironed it down to make kind of like a bias tape, but not cut on the bias. And then used that to encase the edges of the lace as I sewed the sleeve pieces together. This made for quite a thick bundle, but my sewing machine got through it all right. Then more pinning, this time at the shoulder, and more sewing and unpinning as I went along. This is where I used that strip of bias cut fabric. After the sleeve was attached to the bodice, I was ready to attach the cuff to the sleeve. With all the pieces attached, all I had to do was buttonholes and buttons. I don't think I have a button foot with this sewing machine, but I do think it should be able to function with one, so maybe eventually I will get one because those look really nice. I also should get something to space my buttons and buttonholes because I tried to do that by hand and they are not perfectly evenly spaced out, which I didn't notice until after I had made this video and then was wearing this shirt probably for the third time because I love this shirt. And we are getting close to the reveal, so you'll be able to see it and let me know if you love this shirt as well.
Take a seat. As you can see, I got your luggage back. I'm terribly sorry. I did what I could, but, well, about your things, they'd already been chopped.
It's my grandmother's tablecloth. It's been turned into a shirt. Oh, now I can wear it wherever I go.
Wow,
thank you. Oh, thank you.
I'm glad you like what I did with it.
I had plans to get more things done in this video, but I am really happy with how these turned out. I really enjoy this shirt. I think it will make a really cool addition. I do think that it could be improved with a little applique, maybe a little embroidery. So maybe in the future I'll do that. Yeah, I think this green one is wearable, and that's always good when it was supposed to just be a mock-up. The main event. I really love these silver buttons on this black. I think it's interesting how the blacks contrast. I'm not super bothered by it. One thing that I think I'll eventually need to do is just add something to cover up this inner hem. But when I'm wearing it, the back collar is folded over like this, so you don't end up seeing that particular edge of the fabric, raw edge. So it's okay for now. Eventually I'll probably add just a strip of fabric to cover that up. The other thing that didn't turn out so nice is the inside of the armholes are a little bit less, like you've got some raw edge poking out there that I don't love. I think I would need to kind of hand stitch some of that together, and I did not have enough time. I'm really happy with how they turned out. If you liked anything about that video, please hit the like button. And if you would like to see more of what I do, please subscribe. That would be super duper helpful. I upload videos about sewing, about art, about home improvement, and just some random stuff. It should be fun, it should be entertaining, and I'll see you in the next one. Okay, it's working. That was a mic test.